tough words actually coming from the US ambassador. He's normally very supportive of the Israelis and the settlers, in fact. So there's some tension there.
Tough words is not enough. We've heard many tough words, but there seemed to be such a difference between an American Israeli and an American Palestinian. And this is not the first American to be killed by Israel. The list is very, very long. The 80-year-old man, Omar al-Assadi, Shireen Abu Aqli, the most prominent Palestinian-American journalist, and I can list you many. And Israel does enjoy complete impunity, not just against the Palestinian people, but against the Americans.
Yeah, I mean, seeing the family speak so eloquently in English, do you think that that has sort of resonated in America in the way that other stories haven't? And, you're obviously aware of all the other...
What do you mean they speak English? He was born in Florida.
Yeah, I know, but, how much of the way he comes across is something that...
This young man goes with his family only to spend the summer holidays to help his extended family with the olive harvest. And this young man is beaten to death by a group of settler terrorists, very well documented. This is a daily occurrence in the West Bank, all over the occupied West Bank, from the very south of Hebron, Masafer Yatta, all the way to the north. The story came out only because he's an American citizen. But this really sheds the light on how much and how far the US can go with shielding Israel. How far Israel can get away with things, including murdering Americans time in and time out.
Donald Trump says he's being very tough in his conversations with Prime Minister Netanyahu.
Well, we need to see results. I mean, we have been hearing this for the last many weeks. We have heard that there will be a declaration of a ceasefire when Netanyahu would visit the White House. Netanyahu did visit the White House. He left the US and no real announcement. It is absolutely bluntly clear that Netanyahu is not interested in a ceasefire. The mediators take one step forward, including the US mediators, but Netanyahu takes 10 steps backward.
But you're not talking about the other main party here, which is obviously Hamas.
He's maneuvering. There is a proposal that has been on the table, presented first by President Biden, then adopted by President Trump. It did hold for a couple of months, January to March. There was an exchange of hostages. There was to be a staged process. There was plans, intentions, goodwill by the region and the international community. There was the Arab Summit, whereby we adopted a very strong plan to end this, to move directly and swiftly to rebuilding Gaza, to reunite Gaza with the West Bank, to form one Palestinian national technocratic government, and to move forward towards a political resolution. And this is exactly what Netanyahu doesn't want. And this is not a war, by the way. We keep saying it's a war. It isn't a war. This is Netanyahu's, Israel's campaign of erasure. As I was walking,
it's a war against Hamas.
And what is there in Hamas in these 8 sites you've just shown? Is there Hamas there? It's hungry, starved people called by Israel to these humanitarian sites, and you have seen the shooting. They are now shooting children that are going to seek water. You know how many water tanks have been bombed in the last few days and weeks? This is an act of erasure, an act of extermination, and it is absolutely ironic that we haven't learned any lesson.
Obviously, they've got to give the Israeli point of view, is that they say they're facing some chaotic scenes and they're trying to make them less chaotic. But you're based here
by using machine guns on women and children seeking food. This is how you do it? No, it is on purpose. It is by design. It is absolutely deliberate, and it's not just in these aid centers, so-called aid centers. These are death traps. It's all over Gaza. This has got nothing to do with Hamas or the fight with Hamas. This is about the Palestinian people. And what have we learned? I have just taken part in the memorial service of the 30 years since the Srebrenica genocide. I lit a candle there, and it was so ironic for a Palestinian ambassador representing a people going through genocide that we haven't learned anything. There are no lessons to be learned, and the world will be responsible for A, failing to prevent this, and B, even failing to stop it.
The Europeans could put pressure on Donald Trump. Obviously, Donald Trump's at the center of this. Your job is leaning on the British government. How much are they doing? Because there's a lot of supporters of Palestinians in this country who feel that they're just allowing a lot of this to happen as well. And they could be much tougher with Israel and with Hamas as well, potentially.
You're absolutely right. The responsibility is not just on the US, it is also on the rest of the world, including Europe and the UK for that matter. And the UK has a very particular responsibility, being responsible.
Part of the history.
Part of the history now, and actually contributing to the situation we are in now from the Balfour Declaration till today. And our calls, our demands, our engagements with the UK has produced some results, but we need more. It's not enough. They have imposed partial arms embargo. They have imposed sanctions on the settler terrorist groups, on organizations that support settlers, on fanatical ministers in the Israeli government. And I have to say, only the UK did the sanctions in the entire European continent on the ministers. However, we say to them,
not enough.
As we say to you, it is not enough. The entire ecosystem of the settlements and the state that sponsors them must be sanctioned. This is not just about two ministers. These are ministers that are part of an overall policy that is calling for and acting upon the plan of ethnic cleansing. So, Max, this is a moment for the rest of the world. This is a moment for the US. And really, this is a moment. Do we really want to learn the lessons of the horrors of the Second World War? Are we sitting on our hands watching children being slain? We have seen that image only a couple of days ago. I could not sleep since then, whereby some children were trying to get water, and then Israel bombed the area. 12 children were killed, and that mother holding her girl as she was dead. And then Israel said, oops, that was error. I just want to tell you there was no error there. That was deliberate. That was.
And I know there will be Israelis saying, but let's remember what happened in October and the attacks on Israelis.
To justify the murder.
And they would argue that was what the current war against Hamas started.
To justify their war minister wanting to build a concentration camp in the ruins of Rafah, my city of birth, that justifies it?
I'm just saying what they're saying. Husam Zomlot.
What they're saying is nonsense and criminal.
Thank you for joining us.